Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So this weekend is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Open tournament in Singapore. For those who don't know what the Open are, it's basically like a regionals, but it is like hosted, it is shown, they do replays and highlights, so similar to YCSS. But it's for specifically the southeastern region. I kind of want to showcase you some of the duels happening in this like segment, because the last video I made was talking about Rayzeal and Rayzeal's foothold in the OCG. And whenever I talk about decks that are relatively new, like be it in the TCG or the OCG, I kind of always want to show a proof of concept, because it's very hard to believe if a deck is good when it's only been released within the first 2 weeks. Sometimes news toy syndrome is something that people are accustomed to, and like just having the element of surprise and not showing the power of the deck or a strategy is enough to make a deck relevant for a couple of weeks and then fade themselves out of the format. I think Rayzeal's case is very similar to Tenpai Dragons. It's going to be one of those decks that is going to be very powerful at the very beginning. However, as time goes on, people will just adapt to those strategies and they'll just take them seriously, and maybe they'll shift their power level a little bit below normal until they can find another tech or strategy that just works on their favor. But yeah, without further ado, let's begin. This is round 5. This is Snake Eye Azamina Fiendsmith versus the Rayzeal deck. Evan starts with 4 Ross, Kai Xiang's retaliates with Ash Blossom, and Evan opens another copy of 4 Ross, which means now that Kai Xiang is now under 4 Ross's effect and eventually will end up giving cards to Evan. So we see X Rayzeal being summoned. That was searched by Bonfire. He adds the Node Rayzeal, I think it is. He summons the Road Rayzeal. The Road Rayzeal is going to add the Ice Rayzeal. He's going to commit his first summon from the extra deck, which is going to be, I'm pretty sure it's Dual Drive, which draws Evan a card. He tries to activate Dual Drive's effect to attach a material, and Evan retaliates with Infinite Impermanence. He basically is doing this to make sure that Kai Xiang just doesn't add 2 cards from his hand, because if the Dual Drive does resolve, like Kai Xiang gets a lot of advantage. Not only does he get 2 free cards, but one of them is Monster Negation from the field spell. That being said, he activates Pot of Desires, and I kind of want to pause here for a small second. Since Prosperity is limited, and there are cards in the Rayzeal deck, like Dugaris and the Rayzeal Field Spell, which both draw you cards, Pot of Desires just pretty much is the best card you can play in the Rayzeal deck as far as consistency goes. All your Rayzeal monsters are being played at multiple copies, and you don't need specific amount of them to play the game. You just need like 1 or 2 names in order to just play the game. So Desires is a really perfect fit for this archetype. So let's keep going. Kai Xiang is still playing. He's contemplating on his next play because he knows he's still under 4 Ross. If we count the amount of advantage Evan got, he wasted 2 4 Ross and an Imperm, but he got 1 draw out of the 4 Ross. So now even should be at 4 cards, and Kai Xiang knows that, so he's trying to make sure that he does not get too much card advantage, but at the same time he needs to make sure he establishes at least 1 form of interruption on the board, and just avoid Evan from like getting too much advantage. That being said, Kai Xiang is contemplating on his play. He activates the Rayzeal Cross, so I think he drew that with the Desires. So now any monster effect that Evan tries to activate, Cassian can just negate it by detaching from Dual Drive. Cassian is still contemplating. He ditches Dimension Shifter in order to summon the Road Rayzeal, and then he summons another of the Rayzeals in the hand. I think that's the Rayzeal that you can summon if you control an XYZ. Oh, okay, now I get it. So what is the Ice Rayzeal and what is the Road Rayzeal? He did not normal summon, but he knows that if he normal summons the Ice Rayzeal, it's just going to give Evan another card with 4 Ross, and he just wants to avoid giving Evan enough card advantage. So he now summons the Dreadnader. Dreadnader is going to attach Ash Blossom, and now play goes back to Evan. So this is not a really strong end board, but you have to consider the fact that he did this under 4 Ross, and he did that under an Infinite Impermanence. He now has 3 potential card pops, and he has 1 monster negate that does not start a chain. And in a world where 4 Ross exist, I think this is a very decent end board. You don't want to go crazy with your interruptions if you are a extra deck centric strategy. So I think this board is just fine for what it needs to be doing. Evan activates Bonfire. I'm pretty sure Cassian already knows what deck he's on. Evan activates the Snake Eye Ash. I'm going to freeze play here for a second. I don't think Ash Blossom on Bonfire is correct unless you know your opponent is playing Rayzeal. If they are playing Rayzeal, Bonfire is a very unorthodox way to start, which means that they are like securing themselves to getting enough cards in order to play the game. But if it's the Snake Eye deck, I think you hold out the Ash Blossom, because Ash Blossom is way more significant against other plays that they can do besides the Bonfire. I'm pretty sure that Cassian did not know he was on Snake Eye. He probably thought that he was on the Rayzeal mirror match, which is why he did the play that he did. So Evan summons Snake Eye Ash. Cassian negates it with the Rayzeal Cross, and now he pretty much puts Evan on better have the extender, because he already is down 2 cards, and Evan was already down 2 cards from the 2/4 Ross last turn, as well as the Imperm. So now Evan has specifically 3 cards in his hand, or 2 cards, and one of them is Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes. The Temple is going to put Snake Eye the Bellstar. Evan is contemplating on his play because he knows that the Dreadnader can also be an interruption. He's pondering on his play because Dreadnader can just pop the Snake Eye the Bellstar at any time. Cassian lets it go through, which is very odd to me. I think Dreadnader popping it would have been like the better choice, unless I am missing something. Oh yes, I am missing something. Evan did draw Impermanence for a turn, and he used the Imperm on the Dreadnader. Now, my apologies. And that's something that you need to take note of when it comes to this deck. Imperm is going to be way more important this current format than in the, at least that current format in the OCG, than what it was ever before, because yeah, just making sure that the Dreadnader does not resolve is very big. The Dreadnader would have contested against all of these cards. That being said, He is doing the Fiendsmith line. The Fiendsmith line resolves, and OCG is in a way worse spot than in the TCG. They still have Lacrima, they still have Appaloosa, they still have Beatrice. So, like right now, Evan's just going through the races. They're going to link those two away into the Promethean Princess. The Lacrima is going to resolve, putting that back. They're just going to burn them. Evan's going to try to activate. He activates to summon that Snake Eye Bellstar. So he now enters the battle phase. He's going to use the Snake Eye Bellstar to push the Rayzeal back into the spell and trap. He attacks with the Engraver, and he attacks with the Promethean Princess. I think he's now going to go to Hita, because he does have it in his extra deck. Yep, there's the Hita. The Hita is going to target the Rayzeals. He's targeting the XYZ, but Keixian like tells him that that wasn't summoned properly. So he just summons the Road Rayzeal. He's going to turn those into SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight is going to banish the field spell. Banishing the Rayzeal Cross was very important because the Rayzeal Cross is just card recursion every single turn, and it's also a confirmed monster negation if they end up summoning XYZ. So any Kaixian good Rayzeal top deck would be just significantly powerful with the field spell, and would have just turned the tide of this duel. Don't be fooled by the card advantage Evan just has. So Evan passes turn. Kaixian draws. Kaixian is contemplating on his plays. He's looking at both graveyards, and his top deck was Bonfire. And this is another thing that I mean about Rayzeal. Rayzeal has just very, very powerful top decks. Like this Bonfire alone is just going to grab him the X Rayzeal. The X Rayzeal can dump the Aggregator. The Aggregator can negate either the SP or the Temple, and he can just keep playing just from this Bonfire resolving. Let's see what happens. He adds the X Rayzeal, like I mentioned beforehand. He's looking at his extra deck, but I think it's kind of obvious that he's just going to send the Aggregator. Kaixian is heavily pondering upon that play because he knows that Evan can either A, use SP Little Knight, or B, use the Temple. And the Kaixian just wants to make sure that whatever Evan chooses to do is being considering the Aggregator. So Kaixian resolves. He summons the Rayzeal. He's forming his chain links. Chain link 1, chain link 2. He's targeting the SP. Evan opts for going for the Temple instead of the SP, which means that the SP Little Knight will be negated for the rest of the turn because of Aggregator, and the X Rayzeal is going to resolve to add the Road Rayzeal. Now Evan in a separate chain is going to activate Snake Eye Ash. Ash is going to add the Poplar. He's going to special the Poplar. He's going to do Poplar effect. It doesn't matter which monster zone he summons the Poplar in. He doesn't have to worry about Anima. It adds the original. So he specials Road Rayzeal. Road Rayzeal is going to add the Ice Rayzeal. Now he's contemplating on his next play. Evan does have a big board, so Kaixian has to make sure that his options are like very, very correct ones. We also know that Evan has one card in hand. So Cassian made his decision, and the other card he summons is Excited Knight. So this is a very, very big deal because Cassian is currently at less cards than Evan, which means that if this Excited Knight resolves, Cassian is free to just do his Rayzeal plays without worrying about Evan other interruptions. Evan knows that, so he's going to do Promethean Princess to just get rid of the Excited Knight. Making sure he doesn't have to worry about it for another turn. He changed the Excited Knight to the Promethean. They're just reading over his effect to make sure everything's okay. So Exciton is Chain Link 2. It wipes out the board. Reminder that the SP was negated by Aggregator. That's why he cannot do the effect. Now Cassian can summon the Rayzeal. And one good thing about Cassian is since his opponent is on Promethean Princess, he no longer has to worry about Nibiru. So he now summons those two. Those two are going to summon the Dreadnader. The Dreadnader is going to attach the Aggregator. And now the Dreadnader is going to beat over the Promethean Princess. And Cassian is just going to pass turn. Evan draws per turn. He's contemplating on his plays because he no longer has an imperm for the Dreadnader. He activates Engraver. He shuffles something back. I think he shuffled the Goddess or the Requiem. He activates the original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye. That's most likely going to summon Snake Eye Oak, since Snake Eye Oak is still in the main deck. He does summon the Oak. He's going to activate Oak's effect. Oak is going to target his Poplar. Cassian is considering Dreadnader's effect. He does do the Dreadnader. Detaches specifically the Aggregator. Evan is going to chain Linkuriboh to make sure it dodges the destruction. And now the Poplar gets summoned. And this is why the detach for Aggregator is important, because now what's going to happen is Evan opts to not activate Poplar. He summons the Moon Goddess. He is activating Poplar's Graveyard effect, which makes him Cassian activate the Dreadnader to just pop the Moon Goddess. He's trying to do Snake Eye Bellstar's effect to spawn itself back from the graveyard. From the Spell and Trap Zone, and that also gets popped by Dreadnader. And this is just showing you just how powerful that card is. Like, if Dreadnader sticks to the board, it's just incredibly hard card to deal with because it'll just keep popping cards left and right. It's very similar to Zodiac Trident. And the strongest part is that it's not once per turn. Evan sets 4 auras and he passes. Cassian attacks and he passes. Avian now, Evan activates the Engraver. And this is just showing you just how powerful Fiendsmith is as an engine. He's making sure he's checking he's double checking everything. He makes Requiem with the Engraver. He uses Requiem effect. Requiem is most likely going to summon Lacrima. Yep, there's the Lacrima. And he's going to do Lacrima's effect to just send another Fiendsmith card. We already used Engraver this turn, but he is sending another Engraver. He's normal summoning the Drone Lockbird, and the number one reason he's doing that is because he's making sequence. Yep. So that's another thing about Lacrima. The level 4 Lacrima. The Lacrima just fuels your graveyard in order for sequence to properly resolve. Since Lacrima, Fusion Lacrima is already banned in the TCG, I think the Lacrima Sorrow is going to be way more important for us because it just makes sure that it gives you just enough bodies for sequence to just summon cards like, for example, Desiree. So sequence is activating. He's using both engravers in order to summon Lacrima. Lacrima is going to summon the other Lacrima. He's using all of them for access code. He's burning them with Lacrima, and that's game. So that was round 5. We're not done yet. We're going to showcase you another duel. This is round 8. These two players are undefeated, which means most likely that Snake Eye player we saw in round 5 probably already lost a round, or will have just another round after this one. But I'm pretty sure that this is the last round of the tournament. So both Ji-Kong and Sean are undefeated. Sean already won game 1. This game was not highlighted correctly. But let's see what both decks they're both playing. We see a Pot of Desires, and I think that already tells you what Ji-Kong is playing. If you took anything from what I said at the beginning of the video. Now we are activating 7th Tachyon, which already confirms Ji-Kong is playing Rayzeal. So now we know that at least one Rayzeal ended up undefeated in this tournament. He adds the extra Rayzeal, he summons the extra Rayzeal, sending Dreadnader. He's adding the Road Rayzeal, or the Node Rayzeal I think it's called. He special summons Road Rayzeal, he adds the Ice Rayzeal. There is no Fuwa Ross in sight or Maxi, which is why he's playing the way he is. He activates the Dual Drive. Sean responds with Veiler, and Ji-Kong responds with Cold Belgrave. And I don't know if you already saw Sean's hand. I'm going to pause it here for a little bit. Sean has 3 copies of a very special card. If you didn't see it before me pausing the video, just keep watching. You will notice what card it is very, very soon. But yeah, the only hint I'll give is that it's a Word Breaker. So Ji-Kong resolves the Ice Rayzeal. Ice Rayzeal is going to summon another Road Rayzeal. He special summons Node Rayzeal from the hand, and he makes a 3 material Dreadnader. And he now activates the other Dreadnader to equip. He uses the Rayzeal Cross to draw 1, and he sets 4. So we enter the battle phase, and Sean activates Evenly Mashed, which immediately gets contested by Sullen Judgment. This board, if you count the Sullen Judgment, if you don't count the Evenly Mashed, this is a really, really hard board to out. You have a monster negation from the field spell. You have the Sullen Judgment to just shut down any board breaker. You have the Dual Drive that's just going to recur something else next turn. You have the Dreadnader that can pop up to 4 cards. And if they try to use other like other forms of removal, like Lightning Storm, or like, for example, Dark Hole or Raigeki, the Dreadnader can also protect against it. So we see the Sullen Judgment immediately being flipped, and then Sean activates a 2nd copy of Evenly Mashed that gets contested by Iron Thunder. So again, Ji-Kong opened really, really strong. However, Sean opened a 3rd copy of Evenly Mashed. Like, that is kind of brutal. You don't see this every day. This is like a 2% chance of opening the hand with all 3 of them. But yeah, he did open the Evenly Mashed. Ji-Kong is responding with the Iron Thunder. I mean, he already responded with Iron Thunder. So now he's contemplating what other cards he would activate, or what other cards he'll banish. So Ji-Kong, let's freeze play here. Ji-Kong is still contemplating on what to get rid of with Evenly Mashed, and if you see the line, like, there is something that Jikang is going to do specifically to dodge this evenly matched. Let's see if you notice. 3, 2, 1. Jikang is going to use the Dreadnader's effect on itself to pop itself and all its materials to make sure they're all like gone from evenly matched. So that means he kept one card in hand, on the field, and that card was plug-in Rayzeal. So he now is going to activate the plug-in Rayzeal. He's going to summon back the Dreadnader. He's going to equip the Road Rayzeal, and he's going to equip the Ice Rayzeal. Sean activates Bonfire, and this already shows you this is a Rayzeal mirror match. He adds the Ice Rayzeal, the extra Rayzeal. Extra Rayzeal is going to activate, chaining 1, aggregator chaining 2. Jikang is going to chaining 3, activate Dreadnader to pop, because this is the only opportunity Jikang will have in order to do that. After this, he can no longer use Dreadnader because it will be negated by Meteorologic Aggregator. Sean is resolving the extra Rayzeal effect. He adds the Node Rayzeal. He summons the Road Rayzeal. He adds the Ice Rayzeal. He normal summons the Ice Rayzeal. Ice Rayzeal is going to summon another extra Rayzeal. He summons the Dreadnader. He summons the Dual Drive. He activates Dual Drive. Dual Drive actually resolves. He's adding Plugin and Cross. And that's just a lot of card advantage he's getting back. He's going to activate Plugin. The plugin is going to summon the node. He's going to attach to the Dreadnader. He's going to use the cross effect to put 2 back and draw 1. And we have to remind ourselves that Sean is in main phase 2 when he's doing all these plays, which means the Dreadnader is going to go back to Jikang's side. Jikang activates 7th Rayzeal, 7th Tachyon. They're going to respond with Dreadnader. They're going to respond with their Dreadnader. And I'm unsure if he's using Dreadnader to pop or he's going to use it to protect, because Sean does have the cross, the Rayzeal cross. Okay, so Jikang opts to use the Dreadnader's effect to pop the cross. That's going to be very important because the cross can be used to negate anything else. Sean opts to not use the cross because he's unsure of what Jikang is going to be popping. And let's remind ourselves, Dreadnader does not target to pop a card, and Dreadnader can protect itself or others by detaching an XYZ material. So Sean, knowing that, is just going to keep the Rayzeal cross, because if he activates the Rayzeal cross and detaches, the Rayzeal cross is no longer an interruption and Jikang can just keep playing. However, if Jikang opts to go after the Rayzeal cross, Sean still has all his Rayzeals intact. And Sean was just like contemplating and like gambling on the chance of Jikang not popping the cross. So the Dreadnader gets destroyed. He summons extra Rayzeal. Extra Rayzeal is going to send Aggregator. He has 1 card in hand. Well, no cards in hand because of 7th Tachyon. Dreadnader is negated. The extra Rayzeal is resolving. That's going to summon Road Rayzeal. Road Rayzeal is going to add Ice Rayzeal. Ice Rayzeal gets normal summoned. Ice Rayzeal is going to not do his effect. He's just special summoning it. And this is an exit on night for popping all the cards. Reminder that Dreadnader is negated by Aggregator, so Sean cannot protect any of his monsters. So the exit on night resolves. And Sean draws 7th Tachyon. Again, this is what I was bringing up. Rayzeal just has really strong top decks. So if the game state is super simplified, Rayzeal just has a really strong card in their arsenal, and the deck is super consistent. Like that 7th Tachyon could have been a Desires, it could have been another Bonfire, it could have been any of the other like 6 Rayzeal names. Yeah. So extra Rayzeal summons Road Rayzeal. Road Rayzeal is going to add the Ice Rayzeal. And yeah, G-Con just scoops. This is the end of the match. And yeah, I hope you found this informative. I just wanted to showcase a little bit of Rayzeal. I thought that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Singapore Tournament Open was a very, very good example of such an event. I think this is a 2-day event, so there'll probably be more duels right after this recording. But this is round 8. I'm not sure if this is the last Swiss round. I just wanted to showcase more Rayzeal because in my last video I talked about how Rayzeal is going to be a very, very, very strong deck, and I just wanted to show proof of concept, and now you're seeing the proof of concept right here. Yes, it did not defeat the Snake Eye opponent. However, it did show tremendous showsmanship. It just it had a really good impression, and the fact that we see 2 of them undefeated on round 8 just kind of tells you that most likely this deck will top or win the entire thing. But yeah, hope you more videos coming soon. Keep practicing and keep dueling.